All right, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the final two rounds of Swiss. Of course, followed by the top 16 and finals. There'll be 4 rounds of CEDH today here at the Cowtown Throwdown, brought to you by the TopDeck Championship Series in partnership with the Iron Deck Tournament. This is the final platinum event on the TopDeck Championship Series prior to the TopDeck Invitational, which will be happening in August. That Invitational will take place here again in Columbus as a $15,000 prize pool and 64 competitors. Of course, our 4 platinum winners, some discretionary invites based on community votes, and the 56 top leaderboard players will battle it out for their share of that prize pool. But right now, many people are still trying to lock up their points to qualify for that. And this pod that we're going to be starting today off with is among those. Now, remember, this is a $12,000 prize pool here, one of the largest ever at CEDH events, and 256 players registered yesterday, many of them coming back today, making this the largest CEDH event ever. So there's a lot at stake here today, a lot at stake that it boils down to again here in another month in August. So a lot of high stakes CEDH here in Columbus, and bringing this to you today is myself. I am Drake Sasser in the booth with Zane Nair. We're going to be covering round number 6 of Swiss. And like I said, we got some leaderboard contenders here. Some people that are, high up in the leaderboard and looking good for the Invitational, and some people that really need to get it done here on the bubble in these last couple rounds. Zane, break down for me here what we're looking at here in pod composition.
Yeah, this is Pod 5. We got some heavy hitting players here, a little bit of a meta composition, and a little bit of spice with the Tameshi. So in first seat, we got Jason Tameshi. He's actually 5th on the leaderboard, pretty secure in his position on the leaderboard. Bringing some spice with the Tameshi. He's crushed a few gold events. I know he won the Mana Vault Time Twister anniversary event, notably. So good stuff there. Jeremy from California on Sisse, semi-former local of mine, powerhouse on Sisse. Your standard fare, nothing crazy there. Sean on Kinnan, coming from the online scene, looking to get some really good, some plat points here, maybe mix it up with some locals and then make that qualification for the TopDeck Championship Series. And then Bailey on T&K here, He's looking to make top 16 at this event. I think that's his make or break for the Invitational. And he's playing some spice in his T&K list. I encountered him in Punt City 3. He almost killed me with the Blood Chief Ascension Brain Freeze combo. So
yeah, I've seen him very vocal on socials with Blood Chief Ascension. So
yeah,
that card, of course, sported again here today. So hoping to see a little bit of that card in action, potentially something that people are sleeping on in the CEDH metagame, as he's a very vocal advocate for it. And he plays quite a few events. And, like you said, Bailey right now, one of the 2 players in this pod that if things ended today would be on the outside looking in. That is, of course, alongside Sean Wiley. Now, Bailey's a little bit closer to the threshold than Sean, so he doesn't need to have a monster weekend, but he does need to have a good weekend in order to secure his spot at the end of the year championship. Sean, on the other hand, does need a monster weekend if he wants to have really any chance of playing or qualifying for the end of the year championship through the leaderboard. And the other 2 players, Jason and Jeremy, both would be actually in the Invitational if things ended today. So
right.
Those players a little bit safer. Of course, they're here to collect a little bit more points for their threshold, and there are 2 players here that need to get quite a bit more in order to punch their ticket to the Invitational. So and a lot on the line for all these players. Really, the only person who I think is pretty safe is Jason. He's number 5 on our leaderboard, looking to really be sitting pretty, even with like a little bit of a lackluster performance. But obviously, players still very much playing for top 16. A lot on the line for all of them. And as you mentioned, kind of a return to some meta compositions. A lot of the stuff we were covering yesterday, there's a lot of new spice and a lot of very successful stuff going on with the addition of Modern Horizons 3 cards. Here is kind of a return to form for CEDH as players are getting started very quickly. Bailey in seat 4, very lucky to have a Gemstone Caverns here, maybe exiling Mindbreak Trap. Seems like a pretty good card to be the worst card in your hand in this pod. But Tameshi Reality Architect is kind of the non-meta deck going first. We've seen this combo in Modern before alongside Lotus Bloom, and we'll see if we can see a little bit of Tameshi combo here and now as Mox Diamond pitching some kind of land.
Looks like a Gemstone Caverns.
Okay, I agree. It looks like the Lord of the Rings gemstone caverns, but
Yeah,
little tough for me to call it. That I do know is a hollowed fountain being shocked in there. 2 mana available for Jason on turn 1 here.
I bet this is the
Let's
early Dranith.
follow up.
I would love to
Ooh.
see an early Dranith here against
Yeah,
this
early
pod.
draft would be great against this pod. See, no, looks like just a passing
Yep.
of the turn.
Oh, looks like Judge is speaking
Oh, we're getting some life totals
live
going here, I
totals.
think. So yeah,
Gotcha.
we did shock in the Hallowed Fountain. That's when all the players realized, hey, we need a way to track life totals. So we're gonna get that up and running here for you. But like I said, yeah, the rest of it, I mean, very typical pod composition. We have Sisay, Weatherlight Captain, Kinnan Bonner Prodigy, Blue Farm, aka T&K. These are decks that we've seen together over and over and over again. Really hallmarks of the top tier CDH metagame. Transmute
Ooh,
Artifacts.
Transmute coming out immediately.
And
Wow.
this can grab Lotus Bloom, which I believe can be cracked right away and do really a Black Lotus impression.
Oh wow. This is there
Okay,
it is.
there's
There's the
Lotus Bloom.
Get
All
that in the
right, so that's in
yard
play.
immediately.
Functionally Black Lotus. Now we did use
Gonna crack
2
that
mana
for
to
like
get
a
it in
wrist
play.
deck?
So really it's only a 1 mana ritual in that kind of a sense. But
It's a one mana
combo-
ritual, but it puts it in the yard for your combo later.
Right.
I don't know. That seems pretty good. And if he's about to land some 3 mana powerful enchantment or something, I don't know. That's a pretty scary turn 1. I would be shaking and maybe considering, should I have exiled that Mindbreak Trap or not? To my
Yeah, Mindbreak Trap
gemstones?
looking pretty attractive. But I mean, if you're Jason and you see a Mindbreak Trap exiled to a Gemstone Cavern, you have to be thinking, oh, there's
You feel
more
good.
interaction, right? There's no way you're just getting rid of your only piece of interaction to get your Gemstone in play. That would be, I mean, that'd be quite a statement.
Oh, really? I think the opposite. I think
Oh, you're just
Bailey was like, yeah,
you're a
this is the only
monster.
piece of interaction. Get this out of here. We don't need interaction where we're going.
Well, let's see if he is interested in using this Lotus Bloom right
Oh,
now.
just
The answer appears
pass.
to be no. So Tabashi not even put into play with the Lotus Bloom, not even interested in casting that. Holding up the Lotus Bloom is Jason, but did get it into play on turn 1. That could be a big deal as we move over to Jeremy and his Sisay deck very quickly, fetching with what appears to be a Windswept Heath.
I
Now,
believe
the
that's the
Sisay
new
deck,
wing flips, right? Looks pretty good.
yeah. We've seen a lot of the new Bloodstained Mire seems to be very, very popular among
Yeah.
players. I've seen a ton of the retro frame new Bloodstained Mire. I'm shocked, actually, legitimately, at how much Eternal format players are very slow to catch on with new arts. I think a lot of the time, these players not so. As here's Birds of Paradise on turn 1, very traditional kind of Sisay start, looking to get their mana started with their mana creatures more so than the artifacts like we saw with Tamashi decks and some other less green decks. Is Sean starting with Besaja Who Endures, good card in this meta game, and looks like a mana
That's a
creature of some
birds,
kind.
right?
Yeah, I think it's the universes beyond Birds of Paradise.
Yeah, it's a Lord of the Rings Birds of Paradise. So
Yeah, it sure is.
Sisay and Kinnan mirroring each other here.
A lot of Birds of Paradise in this CDH metagame. As here's Jeweled Lotus, Mana Confluence. That's 5. Is it Crom time?
Turn 1 Crom? Probably.
It sure is. Crom's in play. Tapped out for Crom did Bailey. And these are the kinds of hands that I always felt look really strong in T&K, but I really, honestly, I fail to convert with these hands all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, at one point I was like, is Jeweled Lotus a trap in this deck? Like, I feel like every time I have these kinds of hands, they don't win. Now we'll see if Bailey and his somewhat unique construction of Timna Crom and from 4th position can kind of make this happen for him. Little late to the party with is Crom having already lost out on the potential to draw a card from Jason, as now we're interested in putting Tameshi in play, it looks like. Cracking Jeweled Lotus to do so.
Meshi comes out, everyone's gonna read it, be like, does this work?
Why don't we read it too? So Tameshi Reality Architect is 2 and a blue for a legendary creature, Moonfolk Wizard. Whenever one or more non-creature permanents are returned to your hand, draw a card. This ability only triggers once each turn. Now you can pay X and a white, return a land you control to its owner's hand, and return an artifact or enchantment with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. So what you're about to see here is we floated white there with that Hollowed Fountain. And we are now activating Tameshi, which allows us to draw a card, makes the triggered ability, and returns the Lotus Bloom to play. So now we have 4 mana again, and we get to shock that Hollowed Fountain back into play.
Engine
Very
is
powerful synergy.
online.
Immediately clacking Lotus again. 4 mana. It's the One Ring. Great follow-up to Tameshi. That will draw a card for Bailey off of the Crom. He was very quick on that. And Crom already going to work drawing some cards. But the One Ring, I think, draws a few more cards than Crom does. As here it goes a-tapping. Protection trigger and all that available for Jason. And a great starting position here from our Tameshi player. Mox Amber added to the mix. And Manival.
Manival. Docksides
no
are
mana
problems
here. Wow. All right. Over to Jeremy we go. Gonna draw a card.
You got to watch out for these Sisei decks. Like, they drop the Dockside, you're done. And
yeah, I was about to say, like, this... I feel like the relying so heavily on these very powerful artifacts that CEDH is known for. I think there's a lot of the top decks in the metagame that really do try to target that via either using Dockside to just go over the top of whatever you're doing. You know, you have all this mana available to you, or just trying to shut all that down with various Null Rod style effects. Now, we'll interested.
Right.
You can look real quick at the Sisei deck list, see how much artifact hate we're working with. I see a Dauntless Dismantler among the mix. That one taken off in popularity very quickly from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. But other than that, I don't see too many Null Rod
too many
effects.
things,
No collector oofs or anything like that. Heavier on artifacts is this take on Sisei, including things like Agatha's Soul Cauldron. A lot of strict Serenades in this pod. That's something I'm noticing.
And there's the Dauntless Dismantler.
Wow, he actually has the Dauntless Dismantler. Brutal if you're a Tameshi fan. This is not what Jason wants to see. Now the question is, do we crack it right away? Because the Lotus Bloom still works. Right? The Lotus Bloom doesn't have to tap. So it slows down Docksides, and you can hold it for a while, but it doesn't actually stop the Lotus Bloom in any meaningful way. Checking that really quick.
I believe that's a Rhystic study coming down. Turn 2 Rhystic.
Turn 2 Rhystic is very
good.
Yeah. A tried and true strategy. Okay, so Lotus Bloom actually does tap. So this does actually work against the Lotus Bloom combo. Going to be interested in keeping the Dauntless Dismantler in play, I believe, is Jeremy and his Sisei deck. Now, Rhystic Study looking to slow things down alongside Dauntless Dismantler. Left side of the pod, interested in slowing this game down. Bailey doesn't seem too upset with that if our plan is to just attack with Crom.
I don't think that's his plan. No shot. That's why he keeps his hands, but
I mean, that's what we're doing right now, you know.
Now, I know Bailey runs like stuff like Phyrexian Metamorph and whatnot. Perhaps he could come in and copy this One Ring. Don't think he drew a land, though.
Yeah, Crom only drew one card in that turn cycle, so not any kind of crazy card advantage coming through. And I have to imagine with Rhystic Study in play, not too many people going to be triggering the Crom, which can be problematic. Demonic Consultation.
Bailey
Classic.
Needs to win this game. Needs to make this top 16. And he's going to send it all here. No fear in his eyes, launching the Demonic Consultation. Mental Misstep coming out.
Yeah, I think players very interested in interacting with the Demonic Consultation. I'm shocked. Misstep on misstep. Is this vintage? Here we go.
Bailey wants this consult to resolve.
And Rhystic goes a drawing. No mana available for Sean, but cards are flowing as mental misstep on mental misstep happening here. So talk to me. What does this consultation actually represent, especially with Bailey being willing to defend it so
Reverse Thoracle. Reverse Thoracle.
You just think it's Reverse Thoracle
in my head? If someone's doing this right now, I'm just like, yeah, this is Reverse Thoracle. If they're misstepping that, this is not just a blind consultation in my eyes. But
if it was just like a value blind consultation, what's the name?
Well, I don't know what's in Bailey's hand. It could be Mana Crypt that he's naming. Maybe he has a Rhystic in hand. It could be
Dockside, I guess.
Dockside, yeah. Yeah, that'd be pretty good too. With the Dauntless Dismantler, less so.
Yeah, shuts it down a little bit. I mean, especially defending the, Reverse Thoracle seems, and of course, Reverse Circle refers to consulting first and then casting Thassa's Oracle afterwards, because Thassa's Oracle traditionally the harder card to counter. So sometimes you lead on your consultation just to see if you can politic or whatever to get it resolved, and then maybe the players can't counter a Thorkel's backup. And players very interested in interacting with this. Swan Song coming from Jeremy, no interaction from Sean at all, and the cards are going to continue to flow.
Fierce Guardianship.
Additional backup for Bailey. He had so much interaction here.
Alarm bells are ringing for me. This is a reverse consult. Bailey is way too sneaky with this.
I mean, Sean's drawn like 4 or 5 cards at this point. I mean, you feel like he really needs to get involved in this interaction stack in some way.
I mean, he's playing Kinnan. He would need to find MBT, Force of Will, Force of Negation. That's pretty much his only ticket out here. He doesn't have the Kinnan deployed, so Fierce is offline. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, there's Thassa's Oracle. So console did resolve Thassa's Oracle, the follow-up. That's going to draw another card for Sean. Is it a Force of Will? Sean taking a quick look at the grip.
Oh, no.
That's it.
He's in disbelief. Bringing it out. Big guns, keeping that early Crom for his Fierce Guardianship, drawing a sneaky card off the top and being like, yeah, here's a consult. Being maybe a little too sneaky with it. Maybe I would have played the land first or something to put my opponents off it. But
yeah, I don't think, I think at the point at which you're willing to commit to 2 counter spells to the bit, there's no sneaky about it, but you called it out exactly right. Reverse Oracle. And it's really interesting because this feels like the dichotomy with these CEDH games. We saw the players at the bottom of the screen really trying to slow the game down, or sorry, on the left of the screen at the time, really trying to slow the game down. Ristic Study and Dauntless Dismantler just trying to stop people from blowing the doors off the game and allow those decks to get set up. And one of the best things you could do against that is the Thassa's Oracle combo. So Bailey, kept a hand based around that already. Saw his window, punched his ticket, and Sean was Jason was just setting his mana up with Tameshi. And even with all that mana, didn't have a lot to get done. Only 3 mana it took for Jason, and that's it.
Bailey here going to 17 points. And I just want to highlight a little bit about what just happened there with, our opponents are setting down their One Rings and their Ristic Studies and Dauntless Dismantler maybe to disrupt someone else. And Bailey's like, you know what? I'm just going to win. Win.
Here's the win.
Here's the consult. Here's the Thorkel. You got it? You don't? Oh, that's too bad. All right, here's my 17 points. I'll see you guys in top 16 or maybe not.
Round. you have a crisp hour to do anything you want with your time and go, get a snack, whatever, wake up, get your coffee, get breakfast. We kind of make fun of this just win mentality. That's been kind of something we're talking about, especially in the face of these mid-range hell narratives that have been thrown around where we've seen it multiple times on camera yesterday, where we're talking about games that go to time, ton of interaction back and forth. The game is bogged down by permanence and interaction, all this stuff. And it's just, people call it mid-range hell. You're just in hell. But not every game plays out that way. And a lot of times it's that kind of texture where you see the players that are trying to push the game to that state. And it opens up windows, a very small window to just win for some of the decks if they can assemble it. Now, Bailey, from the 4th position, was able to recognize that there were multiple decks, both Sisei and Kinnan, in the pod that were going to look to slow the game down. That held true, and one of the best things to do in that spot is the Thorkel consult. I really think that outside of just jamming, which is kind of how you could bastardize this idea of just win mentality of where you just blindly jam into things and then feed the rest of Mystics and you die. There's actually a plan that was built there. There was a plan built.
There was a window seen. If Bailey, I think if he waited, that window of opportunity was going to close. That Ristic was going to get more fed. That Ring was going to draw more cards. Who knows what was going to come out of the Sisei? That was the window. It didn't seem like it was getting any better for him there. He had 2 pieces of interaction. Opponents are tapped out. I think that was extremely well executed. Perfectly timed, and just a good hand to open with there in the 4th seat, winning on turn 2. No one saw that turn 3 in this game.
No one saw the turn 3, and even from a deck like the T&K Blue Farm deck that you kind of think is like a little bit slow. People like to talk about that deck as really one of the contributors to this mid-range nightmare or whatever. Can still get it done on turn 3, and that's part of the power of Blue Farm as a deck. And part of the reason it is one of the best decks, if not the best deck in the CEDH format, is it does allow for you to play a long game or have games like that. The fact you can do both is one of the most appealing aspects of the TNK deck. And, Bailey rewarded, like you said, with 17 points, looking in very good shape to make the cut for top 16, which for Bailey, extremely important. Number 71 right now on our leaderboard, right on the outside of that top 56 cut threshold right now. Remember, there's a lot of points that are going to be added to his point total this weekend, and maybe, just maybe, make a little bit of a deep run in top 16, make those finals, anything like that. Going to punch his ticket to the end of the year invitational. But for now, that's going to do it for round number 6 of our Swiss. We have one more round of Swiss to play. There's going to be a lot of great players with some win-in-ins. We're going to feature, of course, a win-in of some kind for some of our leaderboard players and things like that, I am certain. But things are heating up here at Cowtown Throwdown here early in the morning, and we will be back very shortly. Well, most likely shortly, but could be up to an hour, I suppose, depending on how things go here in day 2.
I'm gonna do some shilling here. I got this cool shirt. I'm gonna stand up. Check out this cool shirt. Top deck merch. I got an hour here. I'm gonna spend like 5 minutes shilling. Shop at topdeck.gg. Get some stickers. Get some shirts. We'll ship it right to you. You don't have to be at the event to get this stuff. And then I got some. I can't show you guys, but I've seen the playmat for the Top Deck Invitational. It is sweet. I hope to be unveiling it later this week. Follow us on TopDeck GG Twitter. I'm sure we'll be posting that there later this week. Just some final touches coming. I think you guys are going to love this one. TopDeck, this company known for its sweet playmats from a variety of artists who all seem to be named Tim for some reason. Yeah.
And don't forget, of course, we are pairing with Iron Deck Tournament for this event. And that means that in addition to the $3,600 for first place, the 500 points, the direct qualification to the end of the season, I guess not necessarily the end of the year, it is in August, but the end of the season invitational, you also win a sword as the part of the prize payout. And what better trophy is there for an event than a sword? So that is something that is on the line for these players as part of our collaboration with Iron Deck Tournament. Very, very happy to be running that collaboration. Love the work that is put in by everybody over there. And yeah, I mean, just awesome event we have today. A lot more Magic left to be played today. But again, that'll do it for this round. And we will be back with round number 7, the final round of Swiss, as soon as we can. And we will see you there.